You gotta eat with your hands. It's bread.
It's fine. We're talking about life.
Don't do that, do it! Don't do that!
And today we're making cornbread from the 1999 movie, Life.
Why is he that guy?
How Eddie's just an amazing actor, I guess.
All right, poker, let me ride.
Yes!
It's such a funny moment because it's so over the top, but also incredibly relatable.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Film and Flavor. I'm Zain Hasan.
Hello everyone, I'm Ahmed Zayani, and welcome to our show, where we discuss the films that have left a lasting impression and taste.
Today, we will talk about a film that blends humor and heart in a way that'll make you laugh, think, and maybe even tear up a little. We're talking about Life.
That's right, fellas. Catch any cab heading uptown because all the drivers know about Ray's Boom Boom.
Hey, Ray, where am I?
Oh, come on, Goldmouth. Somebody's got to watch the door.
Directed by Ted Demme and starring the dynamic duo of Eddie Murphy and Martin Lawrence.
That's right, Life is a movie that might not get as much attention as other classic comedies, but it is a film that really sticks with you. It's a story about two men, Ray and Claude, who are wrongfully convicted of a crime they did not commit. And the story follows them over decades as they endure life in a tough prison. Now, Zain, I know this might be ahead of your time, but in the echelon of classic comedies from Eddie Murphy, I do think that this gets unfairly overlooked.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen a couple of Eddie Murphy comedies before, but this one I feel like is a bit underrated. And it should be talked about a bit more because, I mean, looking at the concept of the film itself, it's not just a comedy, it is also a heartwarming story, and it is about the reality and the truth of the world and how it used to be.
Absolutely. And I think that's something that flies under the radar, especially when it comes to the marketing of the film.
For sure, yeah.
This has been pushed as a straight comedy, and I understand that because you have Eddie Murphy and you have Martin Lawrence,
Yeah.
two giants in the comedy genre, especially in the 90s where they have countless of classic films, like one after the other. So to do something that teeters between both drama and comedy.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly appreciated the genre of the film and how they were able to kind of not compare and contrast. I'd say just like blend those two genres together, like comedy and drama. You don't regularly see that a lot, so it was nice to see that in the film. But I also believe that, you know, one of the greatest films are for some reason always underrated, and I think this falls under that list. One of the greatest films that are like extremely underrated, and I feel like everyone should just sit down one day and just put this on because it truly has a beautiful message.
I think so, and I do think that like a lot of the comedies from the 90s, I don't know, maybe it's just me, maybe it's because I grew up with them, they do seem more timeless to me than more modern day comedies. Like I love some of the recent comedies we've been getting. I don't think a lot of them will be in the discussion 25 years on.
Yeah.
Whereby we're still talking about Life today. Even though it wasn't appreciated at the time, even though it doesn't have as much recognition as it should today, it's getting there.
Yeah.
And more people are being introduced to it.
Oh! Where are you going, boy? Don't do that, do it! Don't do that thing! Don't do that! Oh, biscuit! Come on!
I mean, speaking from my perspective, I didn't grow up in the 90s, but I do appreciate a lot of 90s comedies, mostly because I think they were a little less, I guess you could say there was a lot of dark humor in those comedies, you know? And I appreciate a little bit of dark humor every now and then, because nowadays people just seem to like sugarcoat every single thing in comedies, which sometimes is, I guess, a good thing, but not in all cases.
Oh, absolutely. I think an advantage that they had in the 90s is that, like you said, it wasn't sugarcoated. They didn't have as many restrictions, probably.
Yeah.
I would say as well that the actors had more freedom in ad-libbing the roles.
For sure.
And that you're able to see that on screen. You're able to that translate to the audience. You feel that the actors are more comfortable with what they're saying and what they're doing. Again, it's good that there are some guidelines when it comes to making films nowadays. You don't want to offend anyone. But at the same time, actors don't have as much freedom with their roles, especially when it comes to comedies. Because you don't see broad comedies anymore today, do you?
That was my point. That was exactly my point. I think, sometimes you just want to improvise some lines, maybe throw in, not an offensive line per se, but just something that has a little bit of dark humor to show you the reality of the world that we live in.
Something to raise eyebrows.
Yes. People aren't always going to be, lightly comedic.
Mm-hmm.
People sometimes like going dark a bit, and I feel like adding a little bit of dark humor to those comedies isn't so bad.
Mm-hmm.
And people tend to sugarcoat it too much these days.
Oh, totally. And I think this is the kind of movie that will be very difficult to make today.
Yeah.
Especially considering that it's a comedy and the subject matter that it tackles in terms of racial profiling, injustice, the prison system back in the early part of the 20th century. This is definitely going to be a drama today.
For sure.
Even if you do have comedic giants like Murphy, like Lawrence, and even Bernie Mac, you would have to regress it back to being a drama, which is fine.
Yeah.
But the levity here is what adds and makes it more remarkable than what it could have been.
I mean, like you've mentioned a bunch of Eddie Murphy projects that he's done back in the 90s, comedies especially. What's one comedy that he's done that stood out to you? And does Life fall under that list?
Life would fall under the list. I would always teeter more towards Bowfinger because that's one of my favorite comedies of all time. But I mean, his entire filmography is just stellar.
Truly, yeah.
So I cut their ass in half. At least I ain't the one who poured them on Mom and Pa. Now, tell that.
They deserve that, radio.
What you talking about, Biscuit? You the one who skinned your landlady alive and made a jacket out of her.
Well, at least he didn't kill Santa Claus.
Santa Claus? Which one you niggas killed Santa Claus?
No, it wasn't the Santa Claus. He just wearing the suit and ringing the bell.
He had presents.
I ain't getting nothing. You killed one of them Salvation men and the dude to be out there on the street with the bell?
Something like that.
What makes this movie stand out is how it handles themes of friendship, injustice, and perseverance, all while never losing sight of the humor that makes the situation relatable. Ray and Claude's friendship evolves in such a beautiful way. At first, they're just two guys stuck in a horrible situation, but over the years, they form this unbreakable bond.
Absolutely. The film does a great job of showing how people can endure even in the toughest of circumstances, as long as they have someone by their side. And the humor doesn't feel forced. It's like it helps them cope with the insane unfairness of the situation. Like, they find these small moments of joy in a place where there really shouldn't be any.
Right. And one of the standout moments for me is when the two of them are sitting in the prison yard, just talking about life. It's one of those conversations where you realize how much they've grown together and how their friendship has become more than just a coping mechanism. It's really the backbone of the movie.
I couldn't agree more. The way they evolve over the years is so impactful. But then let's not forget the moments of pure comedy. There's this one scene where they're trying to smuggle something into the prison, and their reactions are priceless. Eddie Murphy and Martin Lawrence's timing is so sharp. It's like they were born to be in this film together.
Definitely. It feels grounded, and that's why you can really invest in their journey. And then the supporting cast. We cannot forget the powerhouse performances from the likes of Bernie Mac, who plays the tough but surprisingly compassionate Red, and the legendary actor Guy Torry as the hilariously unforgettable character Jigs.
Yes, Bernie Mac's role is such a great addition to the film. He brings a lot of heart and humor to the group dynamic. And then there's the wonderful soundtrack, and that perfectly captures the spirit of the time period. The music in Life enhances the emotional weight of the film, and it really takes you back to the 1930s and 40s. It gives the whole movie a unique, timeless feel. And now, let's talk about the classic scene in life. The two main characters, Ray and Claude, find themselves in a prison after being wrongfully convicted. And while they're adjusting to their new life behind bars, one of the first big moments of tension and hilarity comes when they're served a meal that includes a slice of cornbread.
Yes, the cornbread. And it's not just any cornbread, it's a symbol of survival, pride in the beginnings of their life in prison. The moment is simple, yet it's hilarious and full of character-building significance. Ray and Claude's first interaction with the food in prison really sets the tone of their journey.
Right. The way Eddie Murphy and Martin Lawrence bring the scene to life is priceless. Ray is very focused on his cornbread, like this is the one thing I could control in this crazy situation. But Claude is more like, look man, I'm just trying to survive.
With that being said, let us turn to our chef Ali Yosif, who will be making us the exact same cornbread, which will test our survival skills.
Hi everyone, I'm Chef Ali Yosif, and today we're making cornbread from the 1999 movie, Life. To begin with, let me introduce you to my beautiful ingredients here. I've got sugar, I've got egg, I've got cornmeal or corn flour, or cornstarch, whatever you would like to call it. I got milk, I got honey, I got butter, and I got all-purpose flour. I got baking soda, and I got salt. I'm going to combine first the corn flour and all-purpose flour, sugar, baking soda, salt. Let's mix everything together. Okay. I'm going to add egg, followed by milk, and butter, and honey. We're mixing everything in the bowl on a low speed. And let's get the Pyrex. Let's clean the mess and get the Pyrex ready so we can continue. And here it is, ready. Put it in the oven on 190 degree or 190 Celsius, and then we will come back to it within 30 to 35 minutes. That brown color looks beautiful. Just going to flip it upside down so we can cut it. As you see, it's ready. Just give it some butter. I need to cut it. And here you have it, classic cornbread, just like what Eddie Murphy and Martin Lawrence ate in the movie Life.
Welcome back. This reminds me of the scene when Ray is holding on to his cornbread like it's some kind of a treasure, and Claude, not understanding the stakes, tries to take a bite of his. And Ray, he loses it. Nobody takes my cornbread.
It's such a funny moment because it's so over the top, but also incredibly relatable. Food is power, and that cornbread in that moment represents more than just sustenance. It's almost like the last bit of dignity Ray feels he has. Let's give this a try, shall we?
Yeah.
All right. Let me give you a nice big piece.
Thank you.
Here you go. And then you take this.
Right. Do we dig in?
You gotta eat with your hands. It's bread.
It's fine.
All right.
I
okay.
choose to eat with fork, so.
And I choose to be a beast.
Messy. Are you? Okay, wait. I feel like I've never really had cornbread in my life, ever. So this is like a first time for me. So I'm hoping it tastes good. I mean, Chef Ali never disappoints, so.
Not at all. You know, this is good.
Yeah?
Though I will say this, cornbread is usually a side. So it'd be nice to have this, you know, with a nice bowl of chili maybe?
Yeah.
Or with a nice soup.
Or like soup, yeah.
This would complement soup really
Yeah, for
nice.
sure, yeah.
Because the texture would just absorb whatever liquid is with it and just give you that extra burst of flavor. And what I like is that it's not dry at all. It's very moist.
Very.
It has a slight hint of sweetness, but not overbearingly so.
Yeah, and I mean, I actually thought this really, it kind of reminds me of vanilla cake.
A bit, yeah.
Yeah, it has a bit of vanilla, and it kind of also doesn't really feel like bread. So it's more like a cake. I think of it more as a cake. Side cake.
You know what this could work with? Remember the cubano that we had?
Yes.
Imagine like the cubano with this bread.
Yeah, that would be good. That would be good. It was like a mix of a bit of sweetness, like a hint of sweetness with like savory. It would have tasted good. So I completely get why this was more than just sustenance to them in the prison cell.
I want it different. That little rascal belonged to me. Proud to say, boss, I'm that baby's daddy.
I be the paw boss.
I'm the paw that there youngin' boss. I'm the pappy.
Now, tell me, Eddie Murphy, been acting since, what, the early 80s up until today? Why do you think he has been enduring like so? Like a lot of actors come and go, but Eddie Murphy is a constant, you know?
Yeah.
Why is he that guy?
I'll tell you why he's that guy, but I have a very weird perspective or a really weird point, but I'll get to the point. You'll understand why I think he's that guy. So growing up, I don't know why I just always confused Eddie Murphy with
Where is he from?
Morgan Freeman.
All right.
Morgan
Really?
Freeman. Yes. It was always like two guys that I just really confused a lot, and I don't know why I just thought they were the same person at some point. But then I realized Eddie had that spark to him when it came to acting, when it came to everything that he does in life, not just acting. He's a well-respected and well-known actor in the general public. So to see him thrive, even now with his movies coming out, like he's not like pulling back from acting.
Oh,
and I think that's I truly respect that about an actor, and I think that's what made him stand out to me, and that's when I differentiated him from Morgan Freeman. Not saying that Morgan isn't an amazing actor. He's an amazing actor at the things that he's good at acting. My point here is that I was able to differentiate them when I noticed how they were completely different and how Eddie's just an amazing actor, I guess.
Yeah. And he's very versatile for what he does. Because yes, he does give us these films that make us laugh out loud, but then he gives you a performance like he did in Green Girls or Dolomite Is My Name, where he is so good that his name is in contention for the Academy Awards.
Yeah.
So he has that in him, and even when at some point he started to lose track of the films that he did, he veered more towards the ostentatiously childish films. He'd take a pause for a couple of years just to reassess what he was doing and then come back in earnest later on.
Yeah.
And so far, his track record has been stellar. Some of the best films from the 80s, the best comedies from the 80s, all have Eddie Murphy's fingerprints on them.
Yeah.
We're talking things like Trading Places, like 48 Hours.
Yeah.
His track record is phenomenal.
For
And Coming to America, one of my favorite comedies of all time. Oh my God, that is such a good movie.
That is an amazing movie.
And they're all attributed to Murphy being in the lead.
Yeah, he's an amazing actor, and the way he's able to put so much energy and time and passion into the character that he's playing shows you his determination, and the way he's able to kind of gather himself to play each character. Each character, by the way, which are so different personality-wise, just shows you how versatile he is, like you said, and how impressive he is as an actor. And he totally deserves all of the praise that he gets.
Every sense of the word, yeah. You know, in the pivotal cornbread scene, the whole tension between the characters is hilarious, but also very real. It's one of those moments where you see their personalities clearly starting to clash, but it also shows how these two men who are so different are beginning to understand each other. They're both stuck in a situation they didn't deserve, and even though they might be fighting over cornbread in this scene, it's really about survival and trying to assert some control over their circumstances.
And then, of course, the comedic timing is perfect. Ray's absolute disbelief that anyone would dare to touch his cornbread is just priceless. He's acting like this is the most important thing in the world. And it's hilarious because in that moment, to him, it is. And he has already lost everything else. It's like the first thing he can hold on to. And of course, the scene gets even funnier when other inmates get involved and suddenly it turns into this full-on spectacle. Claude, who's just trying to survive, gets caught in the middle of it. And you can see him realizing that things are way more intense than he thought. The whole thing just spirals into complete chaos.
That's what makes the scene so brilliant. It's layered. On the surface, it's a funny fight over a piece of cornbread. But underneath it, it's a moment where we see how Ray and Claude are going to adapt their new life. And it's this ridiculous moment that brings them together in a way. Even though they're fighting over the cornbread, this scene marks the beginning of their bond.
And that's what makes it such a great example of how life blends humor with deeper themes. It's not just about the comedy though. It's definitely funny, but it's also about survival, dignity, and the absurdity of being in a situation you didn't even ask for. The film uses these little moments to highlight the emotional struggles they're both going through.
You know, when I watch Life, I think about how it's one of those films that takes something heavy, like a wrongful conviction, and makes it accessible. There are moments when you're laughing out loud, then right after, you're hit with a deeper message about hope and justice. It's such an emotional roller coaster, but that's what makes it unforgettable.
Yeah, it really does stay with you. It's a film that's both fun and meaningful, a rare mix. And let's not forget the ending. It's not your typical feel-good wrap-up. It's poignant, bittersweet, and leaves you thinking long after the credits roll.
All right, poker, let me ride.
Yes!
Exactly. It's one of those endings that feels earned, you know? It wraps up their journey in a way that's not just about the laughs. They've gone through something real together, and it feels earned. Even if it's not a traditional happy ending, it's still satisfying.
Very well said, Ahmed. Life may not be one of the most famous movies out there, but it's definitely one of the most underrated. Eddie Murphy and Martin Lawrence deliver performances that prove how versatile they really are. This is a film that showcases their comedic talents, but also their ability to carry more serious, heartfelt moments.
And that's why Life continues to be a hidden gem in the world of comedy drama. If you haven't seen it yet, we definitely recommend you check it out. It's a journey worth taking, full of laughter, heart, and a little bit of wisdom.
Thank you so much for tuning in, and of course, a huge thank you to our very own Chef Ali Yosif for making this very wonderful dish for us today.
Yes, thank you once again, Chef Ali. We hope you enjoyed your discussion of life. Until next time, keep watching the films that make you laugh, think, and maybe even cry a little bit.
Yes. See you next time. Stay tuned for more movie magic, and remember, life may not always go as planned, but with good friends by your side, you can make the best out of it. Goodbye.